Oh, there we go. My bad. You can hear me now, right? Because it's funny. I'm here talking, but you guys weren't hearing. So anyway, let me see here. Let me make sure I got everything here. Yes, I am being devious because I am talking. Currently, I'm talking about the whole 50 series issue that has been going on, which I just talked about the whole. I just talked about the whole Micro Center issue. But anyway, is there a mod that here that can get? Yes. So now it should be perfectly on. It seems that it's good on the receiving end. Thank you, Sleepy Mushroom, for letting me know. And hang on, guys. I noticed something funny with the chat as well. Because let me open that up. And of course, let me exit out of that. I apologize for this. There we go. I'm just reopening the chat so that way I have the Twitch and the YouTube chat all intertwined, so that way you guys can at least see each other. But originally I was supposed to get a package today. It was supposed to be the RX 9070 XT, and I was supposed to unveil it today. But unfortunately, I got a package. I didn't get anything. Instead, they delayed a bunch of my packages. So now I'm just waiting for these packages to be able to open up. So let me see. This chat is... There is something up with this streamer bot here. All right. I apologize for this, guys. So guys, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. I've been talking about the RTX 5090, the RTX 5080s, and why they have been missing. I was supposed to get the RX 9070 to come in today, but it did not come in today. In fact, UPS sent me a message saying that their trailer got delayed. We were going to find out exactly which model RX 9070 XT that we received. Unfortunately, I've heard of one issue that has been going on with the RX 9070 XT is that there is a overclocking problem. Apparently, if you go over a certain amount, you can't really even overvolt it. It's more of a driver issue, but undervolting it performs extremely well. In fact, it even competes with the 5070s, the 5080s, and one even came close to competing. Now, this is a specific model, which is the 4090D, which is the watered down version of the 4090. Let me see. Okay. But all right, let me get this going here. I'm gonna move this here and just make sure this chat is working. So you guys can hear me now, right? All right, there we go. That's what we want. There we go. Okay, perfect. I'm just checking my accounts here because I'm just making sure everything is connected like it should. But it doesn't seem to be. But I'll just go directly into this chat here instead because it seems like my streamer bot's not working like it should. But anyway, I was supposed to get this card in and unfortunately it didn't come in. And there's supposed to be more items that are more PC components that we will unbox to see exactly what they are. And we almost have our PC build all ready to go. We have a bunch of parts. We're just waiting on a couple parts, which is the GPU and the power supply. So what I was saying too about this whole, if you're one of the people that's waiting for the RTX 5090 or the RTX 5080, they had to do this whole pullback. In fact, that they were supposed to restock within this week or within the next week. Apparently, Nvidia had to pull back about 90% of their stock because you're going to have some loose ends that kind of slip out and go to other retailers. So with unfortunately, because of that, there isn't going to be any 5090s in stock until more than likely April, because they have to go through a QC. They're going to have to go through quality control and check every single GPU to make sure that they're not flammable. And that was the main reason, because there was one company, or there was a few companies, I should say, that were having this issue. Now, some are saying it's from MSI, some are saying it's from one other company, but I'm not going to really get into which was which. It's all because of the 12-volt high power port. It was reported that it was going up to 150 degrees Celsius. So, Sleepy Mushroom, you want me to show off? I don't know what you want me to show off, but we do have some of the PC parts here. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't have any graphics cards or anything like that. Not yet, at least. And hopefully we do get it soon, because it was such a pain, because you know that feeling when you're supposed to get something in the mail. You're supposed to get something from UPS, and then you get that message to where they tell you this. They give you this message here, which was something that everyone dreads. That they were unable to deliver it because they missed the trailer, unfortunately. I don't know how that happened. I can't ask them why, because you know how impossible UPS is to get in contact with. But so far, with the PC parts that we do have for the build, and which I will pull up, are that we do have this motherboard. Hopefully you got to see that video, which I unboxed this and kind of went into detail about it. It's the B850 Plus Wi-Fi motherboard. And this is an excellent board. In fact, if you're lucky enough, sometimes you can even pick it up for down low as $190. A great motherboard, a AM51, to be able to start a build with, especially if you're on more of a constricted budget. If you are, then this is a great way to start, because again, if you could get this motherboard for 190 or a little bit over 200, which is normal price, I think it's $209.99, then this is the board for you. It does have PCI Express 5 compared to its prior generation, which was the B650. They only had it up to PCIe 4. Now, the other part we have here, we do have a Corsair's Vengeance DDR5. In fact, they actually announced that they're not Corsair, but G.Skill announced that they're coming out with some new ones here. And this is about $99.99 USD, but luckily Micro Center had it on sale. I picked it up for $92.99. So you could definitely get your hands on one for definitely cheaper, especially that there's going to be more RAM coming out. In fact, G.Skill is coming out with 6,000 megahertz, where it's CL26, CL28. So they have these two RAM kits that are going to release that are new, and another CL31, where this will definitely drop in price to compete with G.Skill. So hence, that's more than likely why they started doing the price drop. Also, we got the AMD Ryzen 9600X here. This is also a great deal that you can purchase it for, because again, you just spend a little bit over $200 for it. It does exactly what you need it to do, because if you're just using it for gaming, this is something you can definitely start off with, because you can always upgrade the processors later. Now we got the Crucial P3 Plus. This is NVMe, so this is also PCI Express 4. The best part is this is also for a great deal. You can pick this up for $64.99. Usually it goes for $84.99. I know Samsung just released their PCI Express 5 NVMe, which is called, I thought they were going to give it a whole different name, but Samsung decided to keep the 9000 name. I guess they really like 9000. So anyway, they chose to call it Samsung 9100. That will be PCI Express 5. And again, on their end, it's a lot more expensive if you choose to go that route. To save money, and especially for a gaming build, because it's not going to matter as much, go with the PCI Express 4 NVMe. It'll definitely save you money on that build. Man, Micro Center needs to be worldwide. Yes, absolutely. If they just could spread to other areas, if Micro Center would make a killing if they went to places like Europe. They would definitely have a high market there, especially because it seems like the lack of availability is starting to get less and less. We see how bad certain stores are getting when it comes to PC stock. It's almost like they are becoming more less relied on as vendors, and instead they want to sell more online. Oh yeah, Team Group's MP44L SSD, that's also a nice pick. Anything that you can pick for a great deal, definitely go for it, because it's a great way to start off with, especially when you're starting to build a PC. And here goes a AIO, where a lot of people might not really notice or even know that ASUS actually came out with this, which is the Prime. Right there, you can see the reflection of the PC in the background right there. But it's the Prime LC360 ARGB LCD, and this is actually a lot cheaper than it looks. It looks expensive, but actually you can purchase this for just over 150 USD. And this has a LCD display, which is quite large. It's 2.8 inches. But again, if you're trying to save money, you don't have to go full 360 cooler if you don't want. You can just go get a Noctua, or you can go get a Be Quiet. Any of those type of fans, you can definitely save money on top of it. Yes, absolutely, it is a nice AIO. Actually, the best part is ASUS was nice enough to give us this, which was awesome. But also, if you guys aren't part of the giveaway, especially for those who are just joining into the live stream, I am giving away a Samsung 990 Pro with a heatsink. Now, if you want to use the heatsink, that's up to you. If you're going to put it in a PS5, makes perfect sense. Make sure you join the free giveaway to give yourself a chance to get one. And also, I'm giving away some merch in the giveaway. If you're wondering about the link, it's actually posted on my homepage, or you could go to my latest video as I have it posted there. So definitely, yes, there is a giveaway. So make sure you join it, and you will have a chance to get this Samsung 990 Pro with heatsink. So what do you guys think about the whole 9950 X3D and the 9900 X3D? They also got the 9800 X3D. They definitely have those options, as those just got recently released. What's up, Rex? Right now, that's what I'm trying to figure out exactly. We didn't get the package, unfortunately. Thanks for coming into the stream, Rex. Good to see you. Fortunately, UPS delayed it. They missed the trailer, and now a bunch of packages are delayed. So I am waiting on it. It's supposed to come in tomorrow, but when it does come in, I'll make sure to unbox it for you guys and let you know exactly which manufacturer gave this a GPU. So it's definitely going to be quite the surprise, and definitely exciting, because we want to see what type of RX 9070 XT does come in, and we can't wait to test it, especially on the upcoming build. All we need really is just the power supply, and hopefully that'll be coming in soon. And yes, delayed pack. Yeah, it's so terrible. because I swear every time I do this a live stream that I'm going to unbox a package, this happens where it doesn't show up. Because just like the first packages, I was supposed to unbox it live. It was supposed to be on a Friday, but then I had to delay it on a Monday. So, but I chose to still go live because I love talking to you guys. And if you guys are just tuning in, I'm Chris Mizo. I'm a PC and tech enthusiast, and hopefully you are enjoying this live. If you are, just as I told everybody else, I don't like to put ads on my streams. On my long format videos, that's just going to be YouTube. That's how it is. But on my live streams, I won't put any ads or anything like that because I like connecting to everybody out there, to the fan bam, to the tech community, because I love hearing your guys' thoughts. Now, the 9950 X3D did get released today. If you were lucky enough to get one, let me know in the comments. Or if you chose not really to get one, or you don't really care for it, I can perfectly understand, because if you're wondering what the big difference is between the 9950 X3D and the 9800 X3D, the only thing you have to know is that the 9950 X3D has more cores, and it is a little bit more of a higher grade compared to the 9800 X3D. Now, do you need it? Well, depends on your uses. If you are planning to create video, if you're planning to do work such as DaVinci or Premiere Pro, or if you're going to be using any type of work, then the 9950 X3D would make more sense. But if you're just going to do things just like stream and you're just going to be gaming, then the 9800 X3D would be perfectly fine for you, and you don't have to pay an extra $300 for more cores that you're not going to utilize anyway. Sure, it runs cooler and everything, you might get more frames, but is it really worth the extra $300 when you could get a dope keyboard or a dope mouse or something for your PC build? And it's funny because when they released this processor, I was debating whether to get it, whether if this was something that everybody would really care about. But of course, you can voice your opinion if you want to see the 9950 X3D. Feel free to voice what you think. If you want to see what the benchmarks and everything would look like, I can always work on getting one. In fact, again, here we go with Micro Center, because they can make a killing if they're in other areas. Because if you take a look at Micro Center in my local area, apparently they got a ton in stock. Hopefully this clears up here. Let me see. Let me just do that. That way you guys can see it. There we go. They have well over 25 in stock. So they definitely have plenty of them. I haven't checked Newegg. I know Newegg just restocked. They originally sold out when they first put it out, but then now, just like about, I think an hour ago, they just sent a notification saying that they got a bunch of 9950 X3Ds that came in. Oh, sure. You want to see a blender test? That would be, I would think that the 9950 X3D is quite the monster. In fact, you know what the most interesting thing to me is about the 9950 X3D? It's not about the extra cores that it has. It still uses the same type of CCD and everything. So it's not like they have another 3D cache in there. But instead, what is really more interesting about this processor is the fact that it runs cooler and the grade is higher. I mean, unusually high. It's like AMD saved this whole batch and said, let's save all the good ones for the 9950 X3D. But let's give, and the way they did it almost is like each grade that they did or that they created, like the 9800 X3D, for example, was just under that grade. So it's really interesting to see how that played out. It's almost like they tested and graded all of them, or checked the grade on each and every one of them, and said, let's save all these for the 9950 X3D. And so far, it looks amazing. And but that seems that more than likely I'll take a look, and if I do pick it up, it would be sometime tomorrow, and I'll definitely go live with you guys. If I go to Micro Center tomorrow, I will let you guys know like an hour before then. Hopefully they still have it by then. Is it feasible to build now? Now, if you choose to build, I mean it is, but what makes it really impossible is the fact that the GPU market is it's just nasty. In fact, not the 9070 and the 9070 XT, there was plenty of stock. It's just the fact that you have people that buy out all these graphics cards, right? And I'm not talking about gamers. I'm talking about all these scalpers that tried to buy them all out, and then they tried to sell them on a place like eBay to where they tried to profit the most, because they feel like if they take all the demand, they're just going to supply the demand that's needed. And that's how they make their money, of course. So I always tell everyone, try to stay away from eBay. Now, you definitely can build a PC, but getting a graphics card will be certainly not easy today. In fact, it's so hard to get a graphics card. I even contacted some inside people I know to try to get it for me, and they even have issues getting it out to me. I've been almost calling like every week just to see if they were able to get the numbers and be able to pull it off, but it seems that it's just bad. They can't fulfill the supply to everybody out there, so it's definitely an issue. So if you do plan to build, hopefully you have a GPU in mind already. In fact, if you take a look at the RTX 4090s out there, the supply is so bad that you can purchase a RTX 4090, only 2 years old, right? Barely used, maybe 2,600 USD. Quite insane for a card that was worth only 1,500 originally when it was released. Yes, definitely an issue with the high end. But if you do choose to say get a 3060 or a 4060, which I saw plenty of when we went to Micro Center the other day and took a look at it, it seemed that they were a lot easier to get your hands on. Now, if you were to try to purchase like anything that's higher than say the 3070 or 3080s, or not 3080s, but the 70s, 80s, and the 90s, they're a lot harder to get your hands on. In fact, like the 6600, AMD's Radeon 6600 was more in stock than anything else. So was the 40. There was barely any 4060s, barely any 3060s, and you had some of Intel's Battle Arcs. But yeah, it really is interesting. It's almost like I'm surprised that more and more people didn't end up these scalpers didn't end up buying everything out there, so that way they can have full control. But it would be too tough for them to do that. And it's funny every week, because I have a PC that I have up on Facebook that I'm just trying to get rid of, and every week I'll get like a low ball offer for it, which is insane. Like you'll have like a full blown out PC, but without the graphics card I was selling it for was only like for I think $1,800, but I'll have people low ball me for like $1,000 because I know that what they're trying to do, they're just trying to resell it anyway. But yeah, for my the Ryzen 5 7600 is a great choice, and you probably could get that for a reasonable deal. And especially because with this whole not this whole 9000 series being released and everything, that's more than likely going to definitely push the 7000 series to sell more, especially because the whole line is practically out. There's shouldn't be anything more for the AM5 line. It should be pretty much on the ending side. Now, for AM6, we probably won't see anything like that for until I think it's 2027, because they're going to keep this at least for a couple years before they move on to another trend. Now, it's funny to think about, because I'm thinking just about the whole Intel side, and it's just insane with Intel, because they just hit a brick wall. How do you come out with the 15th gen? And you have these high expectations, because personally, I loved the Elder Lake. I thought Elder Lake was really good. It was great. But then it just they just fell apart after Aldo, like after the 12th generation, and then the 13th and the 14th just were just asinine with everything, with the whole temp issues and everything, with the voltage issues, and now the 15th gen can't even compete with the 14th gen. So they have been rough. Oh, happy birthday, Sugary. Shout out to Sugary Glider. Hopefully you get something good for your birthday. For everyone that's just joining in, I'm Chris Mizo. I am a PC and tech enthusiast. Hopefully you joined the fandom. If you do, make sure you think about joining the giveaway. It's on my latest video if you're looking for the link. And have a chance to win the Samsung 990 with a heatsink. And then on top of it, I will be giving away some merch. Hopefully you can win something out of it. And this is a personal thank you for everybody who has joined in the streams and who has enjoyed the videos. And I always appreciate the input. And with these streams, I always try to make sure that they're not monetized, so that way you guys can have a nice uninterrupted stream. So right now we need a budget to save the market. There certainly should be a budget, because I'm going to go back to Nvidia real quick, because take a look at Nvidia, for example, right? Nvidia's RTX 5090 is $2,000. That's what they marked it at, $2,000, right? But then you take the AIBs and then they push it out, and now it's well over between 2,800 to well over 3,000. And then plus you got tax. And then if you're in Europe, you're paying that tax, which is insane. So you're even paying more than the US. So really, for say in euros, you're probably spending like 3,700 euros on a RTX 5090, and now we're stuck paying like 3,300 USD on a RTX 5090. But how does that justify the graphics card? That graphics card alone, you could nearly build 2 PCs with that graphics card. It just doesn't make any sense to me, just for the VRAM. I just got my 9070 XT. Oh, that is awesome, Wallace. I'm happy you got the RX 9070 XT. Which one did you get? Was it Sapphire? Was it XFX? Was it ASUS? Was it Corsair? They have so many manufacturers that back AMD. I personally wanted EVGA to go to them. I was really hoping for them to go there, because I feel XFX and I also feel EVGA, they're just excellent at what they do. It's a shame that they pulled out completely out this whole game. Hopefully one day they will come back and make a strong comeback. Maybe they'll choose to side with Intel's side, or maybe they'll go to AMD. But one thing's for certain, I don't ever see them going back to Nvidia. Same thing with XFX. I don't ever see them going back to Nvidia. There's quite a few manufacturers that were excellent but chose to opt out of Nvidia because of how much profit they were taking. That there was barely any profit gain for any manufacturer out there to really have their cards. So XFX, that is awesome. XFX is one of my personal favorites. In fact, one of my first, not really my first, but it was close to my first card. Maybe it's like my third. But the XFX I had was a GeForce, I think it was a GeForce GTX. And it was the best. It was the first card that actually had the whole built-in water cooling. And the way they designed it, it never had any problems. And I could easily overclock it with no issues. In fact, I pushed it so much to the point where I think I even eventually I got to the card where it eventually couldn't take the overclocking anymore. I think it lasted like 5-6 years, but it was an excellent card. But XFX is definitely underrated. Definitely take a look at them if you're thinking of going AMD. I highly recommend Sapphire is really good. Also, I'm not too sure about like how ASUS and Corsair is. I heard AceRock is really good. I heard they're actually one of the most quiet RX 9070 XTs you can actually get out there in the market. Unfortunately, there is one issue with the 9070 XT. I don't tell me if you're experiencing it, Wallace, if you're having this issue or not, if you attempted to do overclocks or not. But apparently, if you overclock the card and you try to overvolt it, it kind of locks into a certain amount of clock speed and won't go above it. It's either that or it's the memory clock. It locks into a certain memory clock or a certain clock speed to where it will not surpass it. But you can still undervolt it with no problem. You just can't really overvolt it yet. But this is more of a software issue from what I know when it comes to, let me kick this person here from Twitch. There we go. Had a bot come in. But that's currently the issue that is going on from what I know. And more than likely, it's not going to be the hardware itself. This is more driver related. So this can be easily fixed once AMD pushes out an update. I haven't checked their updates recently, but hopefully it should be somewhat soon. And when they do, it should resolve this problem. Now, this was specifically for the ASRock RX 9070 XT that experienced this issue. In fact, there's a whole, on my Twitter, you can actually see it. There's a reply from a guy called Tom. He's a really cool guy. He's been testing it out, and he's been like really pushing the limits. In fact, with the RX 9070 XT, he was able to push it up to close to a RTX 4090D, which is pretty insane. Yes, the 4090D is like a little bit of a watered down version of the RTX 4090, but to be able to push it that high into those limits is quite impressive. Same thing with the RX 9070 and the RTX 5080. They actually competed next to each other on Cyberpunk, and they were actually hand in hand. They were very close to each other. RTX 5080 just slightly surpassed it just a bit, but in some other benchmarks, the RX 9070 XT surpassed the RTX 5080 even, which is pretty insane. And you're spending less than $1,000. That's what it's all about. You should be spending less money on a graphics card and more focused on other components when it comes to a PC build, because that's the problem when it comes to PC building. As I'm pulling back to Sleeping Mushroom's topic, how he mentioned it's almost impossible to really build a PC now. You can get like all decent components, like all the parts that I showed so far, like the P3 Plus is $65.99. I'm just gonna go buy it real quick. The AMD Ryzen 5 you can pick up just slightly over 200 USD. The Corsair Vengeance 6000 megahertz, you can pick that up for actually a really good deal for $92.99 USD. And the ASUS B850 Gaming Plus, you can pick that up just slightly over 200. It's usually about 210 USD. If you are lucky enough to get it on sale, you can even get it under 200. And now the ASUS Prime LCD LC360 cooler, you can also pick that for 150. Sounds really reasonable, right? For all those pricings. But then when you get the graphics card, again, you choose to max out. Say you chose, we're not going to use the RTX 5090 because, again, that's a ridiculous price, right? Now, you compare it to the RTX 5080, just say you're getting that, and you're getting just a regular AIB, you're still spending $1,500-$1,600 USD on it. And it's only 16 gigabytes of VRAM. But then everybody's missing out on a key component, the RX 9070 XT, which can perform just as well, or even just slightly under. It doesn't matter because you're only going to be missing a few frames, and you save a ton of money. In fact, you'll be able to purchase it slightly under $1,000. That's exactly how it should be. Everything is going backwards when it comes to building. What are my thoughts of the i3 12? It's still excellent. I love the Alder Lake for what it was. Intel did excellent things back then when they first came out with that chipset. Even though it was like, even though they say, oh, it's data and everything, Alder Lake was quite amazing. It performed well. The temperatures were great. It was able to game with no issues. It was able to focus on its single core when it comes to gaming. It was nice. And the best part, you could even be able to use it for other tasks such as Photoshop, or you could be using it for things like Lightroom and it want to give you issues. But for the 12100F, it's not a bad processor, or the 13100, they're not bad processors. Now, these would certainly be great for, you can use it for gaming, but again, the main aspect, if you're using it for gaming, is you want to focus more on the GPU, because that's what really is what powers everything. Just like if I'm going back to the example of what was released today, which was the 9950 X3D, that was released today. That's 700 USD. And then you have the 9800 X3D, that's a little bit over 400 USD. Of course, you got to go with the 9800 X3D. It's actually going to perform really well, and especially that you're only going to be gaming on it, you're not going to notice that much of a difference when it comes to the 9950 X3D compared to the 9800 X3D, because really you want to focus more on the single core. Same thing when it comes to even the SSD. And for people who are just joining in, I'm Chris Muzo. I usually talk about PC and tech, and hopefully you are enjoying this content, because I am doing a free giveaway for the fan bam. Just check out the latest video that I have. I have the link down there for the Samsung 990 Pro with the heatsink. So you can even throw this on a PS5 if you choose to. And it's a big thank you for everyone for being part of the stream and being part of the fan bam. And I will also have some merch that I will give away. Certainly, I hope there is a lot more winners than anything, and there will certainly be more coming out as I get more packages whenever they decide to come in. Hopefully this 9070 XT does come in tomorrow. I'm hoping some other things. I'm looking for 2 more specific packages, and when they come in, I'll certainly open them up. And I definitely want to, for some of the spare extra stuff, I do want to do a giveaway some more, because I want everybody to be able to enjoy PC gaming, because it's a side that you have to go on. It's something, if you're thinking about going to PC gaming from console gaming, it's definitely a difference. And once you go PC gaming, it's hard to really go back. Now, some people might say, it's so expensive, why would you go in PC gaming? You'll look at something like the RTX 5090 and be like, well, this part's just $3,000 alone. But that's not the only component when it comes to PC gaming. You don't have to get that RTX 5090. There is so much more that goes into PC gaming, that there is so much more benefits, such as choosing your own controllers, that you don't have to pay for internet to game. And there are so much benefits when it comes to PC gaming. You have different options. And especially if you're looking to do something like even just like streaming, you can easily do it without requiring extra components. Think of the PS5 Pro, where you got to pay, what is it, like I don't even know the price of PS5 Pro anymore, but I know it's ridiculous. But I know, like, if you get it with the optical drive, I think it is, and you get the PS5 Pro, and then they have a stand with it, it's like almost $800 or something like that, which is insane. And then on top of it, if you choose to try to stream on it, you're going to need something like Elgato's USB or their service or video capture device in order for you to do so, if you want a nice stream, a clear stream, and no cutoffs, no bandwidths or whatever. But I gotta say, for when it comes to the RTX 5090 and the 50 series, it's pretty disappointing that the restock isn't going to happen this week. For that, Nvidia called back about 90% of their stock. The reason why they had to pull it back is because some of their Nvidia cards were reaching as high as 150 degrees Celsius. So that's why it's been really quiet on the stock front. If you notice that you haven't seen any stock coming in, it's mainly because of that. It's a quality control issue that they're going to have to fix. And so more than likely, if you're waiting for something like, if you want to get that card, you're going to have to wait till more than likely April, probably late April into even May, depending on how severe the issue is. Now, the alternatives out there, you definitely got to take a look at, and I definitely recommend them, is the RX 9070 XT, because it's quite the monster, and it's proved quite the performance, especially that it was very comparable against a RTX 5080, and it was even able to beat out a RTX 4090D when it came to certain tests, which is insane. So, did you hear about Nvidia's newest card, which is going to be more for workstations? It's a Blackwell chip. It's the RTX 6000, and it has up to, I think it is up to 96 gigabytes. It's either 92 or 96 gigabytes of a G7 RAM. It's quite insane. It has that much more VRAM, and it has almost 4,000 more CUDA cores compared to the RTX 5090. So you can't imagine how much that's going to cost. And that's going to be great for somebody out there that is more for those who are interested into AI learning, or more like deep learning and things like that. That would be great for that. Or for those who are running multiple models, that's excellent for that. But again, this is going to be really expensive when they release it. I would imagine it. Yeah, it's a bit insane. And there's also rumblings. AMD and Adrenaline also has so much more. Yeah, that's the nice thing. The funny thing is, did you know that AMD, right? They came out with the AFMF, right? The motion flow, which is the fluid motion flow that they came out with, was really excellent. In fact, Nvidia, when they came out with the 50 series, with their newest drivers and their software, they wanted to implement their own version of Nvidia's motion flow. So it actually originated from AMD, but then Nvidia kind of just smoothed it over because, again, they take up a lot of the market share already as it is, and they feel like no one's going to notice that. But people will notice, and they feel there's such a giant to the point where they feel like they can price whatever they want, just like the RTX 5090. Originally, it's funny because I kind of defended them on it a little bit at first because I'm thinking, okay, it kind of makes sense, right? You have newer technology, but then when you really think about it, what is really different about the chipset? It's still a 5 nanometer node. There's no difference between Ada Lovelace and Blackwell in the nodes. But instead, you're just sending more wattage to the GPU. Now, the RTX 4090 requires less wattage, right? You only have to send just over 300 watts to the RTX 4090, but then when it goes to the RTX 5090, it requires 525 watts. That's a bit insane, and it's the same exact process as the RTX 4090. So practically, when you really think about it, is it really a 5090, or is it just like a 4090 Super? So it's almost like kind of a mind trick there, because it's really not that much different in chipsets, except that it does have G7, the GDDR7 RAM, and a little bit more of VRAM. But that's it. And then they took away PhysX, and they also took away DirectX 9. So if for those who want to play games such as New Vegas or Fallout 3, any of those type of games, you can't play it. If you get an RTX 50 series, you can't play those cards because you don't have that ability anymore. But the funny thing is, there is one guy who got the RTX 5090 and still wanted to play his old games. So you know what he did? Instead, he put the RTX 5090 inside of his PC, and then on top of it, he also put a RTX 3060. So tell me how ridiculous that is. You have one GPU, right? That's all you should usually need to game, right? But in order for you to enjoy your older games, such as Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas, you have to have two graphics cards. So you have to have an RTX, say you have the best one, RTX 5090, and then a RTX 3060. So remember what Jensen said? The more you buy, the more you save. And hence the RTX 3060 and the RTX 5090. It's kind of ironic when you really think about it. And it's a shame that they took it away. But here's a funny conspiracy theory about it when you really think about it. Because think about this. The RTX 5090, right? Yeah, but I backed I backed Nvidia until they stated the 5070 would have the same. Yeah, that's just ridiculous. That is the most memed. It has to be about Jensen Huang stating that. That was a large mistake. It was funny because I was actually there in person to see it. My jaw literally dropped when he said it because I thought that would be amazing if you're only spending $550 for practically a RTX 4090. And you had people that actually panicked when they saw that, so they ended up selling it right away. They just went on their phone, put it up on a place like OfferUp or Facebook or wherever, just to try to get rid of their GPU because they thought the latest and the greatest was just going to beat the 40 series by the landslide. Like, this was Nvidia coming back. This is going to be the 20 series all over again. Matter of fact, it's going to be like the 1000 series all over again, to where it was just dominant, like where you had those cards just last forever. But then the 50 series was nothing like that. It was a big flop. It's a big failure. And it's funny because not a lot of people want to really recognize that. You'll still have people waiting to get an RTX 50 series because they are still led to believe that it's still the greatest card. But it's to the point to where you really have to realize, is it really worth it to purchase a card like that that's, say you have $3,400 to spend? Is it really worth it to purchase that card? You install it in your PC, you can't play your older games. On top of it, you check out your info on the card, you can check out the stats of your card, and it's missing ROPs. And now you also have a fire hazard in your PC because now it can randomly catch fire because now the PC wants to say do a Windows update like usual. It turns on, and for some reason its GPU usage remains high to the point where it catches fire. Is it really worth spending $3,400? Or would you rather have the peace of mind of getting an RX 9070 and you don't have to worry about any of those issues? And you spend way less. You spend like 3 or 4 times less than what the RTX 5090 is worth. I miss those days where a graphics card would last you at least 5 years. Because remember when it actually lasted you, where you just played it out until it was done, when you knew that it was time for it to go, when you had to set the settings on low? Not your graphics going out in flames, literally. That's not how it should be. Not at all. In fact, the theory that I have, which is a funny conspiracy theory, because think about this. You have the game developers and Nvidia, they come together and they meet each other and they say, okay, we're not going to optimize the games anymore because we're going to rely on Nvidia's power. So we'll help benefit you out, and we'll also help benefit Nvidia by purchasing the latest and greatest in order to be able to game. But on top of it, here's the funny part. They're like, what you need to do, the game developers say this, because you notice how that they have a remake of everything now? You notice it's everything that they're remaking. Now, you could name any older game and they practically remade it, right? So can you imagine them going to Nvidia and saying, we're planning to remake our whole game library. So what we need you to do is disable PhysX. We need you to disable DirectX 9 so they can't access those games no more. Instead, we want them to buy your card and be able to buy our game, which we practically rebooted or refreshed, so that way we both get some gains. Now, what do you think about that? I thought about that because I think this is hilarious, because I could see them standing together at a board meeting and saying something like this along those lines, because at this point, the game industry hasn't been doing that great, because it's mostly been a lot of remakes. Now, this year's been pretty decent, I gotta say. I really want to play Monster Hunter Wilds, but then I hear mixed things about the whole optimization, and then I heard Kingdom Come 2 was excellent. Anybody who's played those games, let me know. put it down in the comments because I got to know what you think of it. Because I heard in the first part of Kingdom Come 2 that it just is a prologue practically, and that you don't really play the game until you beat the prologue, which is pretty lengthy from what I heard. And then it actually goes into the game with the new actual physics and everything like that. Yeah, it's insane, right? That the engine run on, yeah, because now the game developers, they rely on Unreal Engine 5. They just throw their game together and they throw it into this game engine, assuming that it's just gonna work. Oh, don't worry about it, it's just gonna work. And it's been quite the mess. Now, if you've experienced the frame generation, now I have the RTX 4090, right? In the current build that I have right here. And testing this whole frame generation, which I will definitely do with you guys if you're interested in seeing it. I will show you what it looks like. Now, if I'm using frame gen, this is on Ninja Gaiden 2, their new black, which is, it's a lot of fun. But of course, if you have frame generation on, you're gonna notice the weird, exactly. It's going to kind of ghost, just like, it's just this weird ghosting. It's almost like when you're in a battle, like when you're in a fight, you can see like this ghosting almost. It's almost like your monitor has the ghosting, but it's really not your monitor. It's just the frame generation kicking in. In fact, I was able to test out Monster Hunter Wilds doing this benchmark, and I tested it with frame generation and without frame generation. It actually scored higher without frame generation, but the frames were lower. Now, I got a lower score with frame generation, but the frames were higher. So, tell me how great frame generation really is. Is it really that great? Is the RTX 50 series frame generation that great to the point where you have to buy it? Now, it has me sketched out thinking that more than likely, again, it's more of a marketing deal. You get 3 frames for every, you get 3 generative frames for each frame. So that's kind of insane. And I would imagine the ghosting would probably be a bit more extreme in that end compared to, say, the RTX 4090, where you're probably gaining about 1 generation per frame, which is, so it's moving 2 times quicker, but you notice the ghosting. But imagine a 50 series, it'd be 3 times quicker. Yeah, so I noticed that too. I agree. So maybe that's part of it too, because the whole Unreal Engine 5, again, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black also uses Unreal Engine 5 to remake the game. And now it's almost any game that you take a look at now, a lot of developers are going to be using that engine because it's an easy way for them to just develop a game and just send it out to the public and assume that you want to just play that game and that you're not going to complain about it. But then they start to cry about it when they start seeing the reviews like at 42%. And this is the interesting part. Just like Monster Hunter Wilds, that's supposedly on Unreal Engine 5. And the developers from Capcom constantly told everybody that we actually worked very hard on this game, that we're sure that there's no issues. So you're fighting with your customer base saying that they're practically wrong, that there's something wrong with their PC. They're telling you, oh, go get a new PC practically, but you should enjoy the game, but your PC's not strong enough. So it's kind of funny how that goes, because more than likely we're going to see that, especially when it comes to newer games. So what is going to be really interesting to me, and I'm sure to all of you out there, is such as a large title such as GTA 6, when that game does come out, when GTA 6 does come out, how is it going to be? What type of engine are they going to, I'm sure they're going to have their own engine, but how well optimized will it be for PC? It's crazy that it's 2025 and that Rockstar still doesn't develop GTA 6 with consoles, PC and console together. Instead, you have to wait a whole another year probably. We'll probably have to wait till next year to play GTA 6 in order to enjoy it. So tell me how that makes sense, especially the fact that consoles are much more of a inferior product, right? So how do you expect what do you expect out of it? But it just shows you the laziness when it comes to game development, and it's really bothersome, especially I know for those who just want to enjoy their games. And I can't wait to play Monster Hunter's Wilds to see how it is personally, because I actually when I purchased this AMD Ryzen. Now, if you purchase a processor with AMD, specifically the Ryzen processors, the 7000 series, I think the 8000 and the 9000 series, if you purchase any of their processors, you can get the Monster Hunter Wilds code. Now, when I put this code in, the funny thing is it makes you validate that that the part that you're using is from AMD. I assumed because I have a 9800 X3D, I could just validate it with that, but no, it didn't work. Instead, I gotta wait till I do this build and then validate it in order to play Monster Hunter's Wilds. So that's the messed up part. So hopefully they give it on Steam. I know they also, if you're looking for a graphics card now and you can get the 7000 series, they are also giving out the Monster Hunter Wilds code if you choose to get it if you choose to get a new graphics card, the 7000 series. But at this point, I don't know why they didn't offer it on the 9070, because it would make a lot more sense. And if you guys haven't also heard that Nvidia is going to release the RTX 5060, and it kind of leaked out, and the price point's kind of ridiculous. Wait till I tell you this, because the RTX 5060 has 8 gigabytes of G7 VRAM. So it has only 8 gigabytes of VRAM. So talk about, what is it, like 10 years ago for 8 gigabytes of, for G7, not G7, but 8 gigabytes of VRAM. And then on top of it, the RMUs, I think they're at 48. And then I think the CUDA cores, let me see. Let me just pull that up just real quick, just to make sure I got it right. It's based off of GB206, which is their chipset, and it's 4,608 CUDA cores. And then, yeah, it's about 48 RMUs. But, you know how much they want to price it? They want to price it between 3 to 400 USD. I know. It's ridiculous, right? It sounds like a joke. They want to charge 3 to 400 USD. And on top of it, you can't play any old games. So tell me what is the point of getting the RTX 5060? Nobody can answer this. You can't play old games on it, but you can only play new games, and it's only 8 gigabytes. But you spend almost $400 on this card. In fact, that's not even on an AIB. Just imagine if it is AIB. It's going to be what, 500 or 600 USD for a graphics card that's going to be practically useless. You might as well just go and get the yeah, I mean 720. I don't really see anybody rocking 720 like that, but you might have those stragglers out there that might use it out of desperation that really want to upgrade. Honestly, I would just rather get a 3080 or a 3090 used, because it just doesn't make any sense. $500 or $600, sure, it's the newest card, but on top of it, the memory bus is what, only like 128. It's 128 bit, so it's the speed's not really great either. So sure, it's G7, it's faster, but you're not really utilizing it. So it doesn't. I don't know anybody who would spend that type of money on that. It's funny. So the 5060 is supposed to be released. Now the 5070, well, the 5070 got released, of course, recently, but yeah, it's funny because they haven't really had much of a supply themselves. Now, I have no idea what Nvidia is going to do next, if they're going to start to make any different decisions, but it's almost like our voices, the gamers' voices anyway, doesn't really matter. And more than likely, it doesn't really matter to them because they really care more about their enterprise side. When it comes to their enterprise side, that is their breadwinner. That is where they make more of their money, is the enterprise. In fact, I'll just show you how much of how important the enterprise is when it comes to Nvidia. Now, I'll open this up so you can just take a look at the chart and you can see exactly how much of a jump it is, because you'll find this funny. Let's see, Nvidia. Let me go here and I'm going to go into the profile. Okay, so right there, let me back it up some. There we go. We got the numbers there. So as you can see, computer and networking, right? You see how those digits, 2.337 trillion, right? Look at the graphics side. You see it. It's only 3.6% of the company. Only 87 billion. So that's why they don't really care as much when it comes to the graphics cards type of side when it comes to their hardware. So there was rumors also that Nvidia is going to explore the whole CPU space as well. So if they come out with processors, would you try to get one? Would you want to test it out? Because remember back then, for those who especially experienced it back then, they had motherboards before. They had the M-Force boards, and they were supposed to be the greatest. And the M-Force boards, you were able to run SLI off of them. You were able to run 2 different graphics cards off of it, but you wouldn't really utilize 2 cards at once. Instead, it was kind of like more like sharing memory more than anything. And then you would be using the regular speeds of the graphics card. But it was amazing at the time. But it's just funny how they were in the chipset side, but then they pulled out. But now they possibly want to get back in. It's hard for me to believe it because, again, you see that their space is only 3.6 when it comes to the 3.6% when it comes to the whole computing side. Again, it's more on the servers, and the enterprise side takes up so much of their real market cap is more of that side. So I don't know if our voices really matter or not, but it certainly we'll see soon, because just like their whole driver issues. So for those who have a RTX series card, I ran into this twice. In fact, I ran into this with the 40 series, that when I updated to the newest driver, it blacked out. And of course, normally when you update a driver, a graphical driver, it's going to black out momentarily, which it should. But so I decided it blacked out for a little while. So I said, I want to go get my dog, Jonah. I said, all right, let's go for a walk. So we went out for a walk, and lo and behold, after the walk, I come back, the screen's still blacked out. And this was recently. This was within the last week. And after that, I had to reboot the PC. Now, it turned back on afterwards, no problem. And in fact, it even updated the graphics card. But it's just the fact that how can you be so negligent and start to get so lazy? Especially, it almost seems like ever since Nvidia went to this Nvidia app, it seems like more and more issues have been happening with it. At first, it was with the overlay, the Nvidia overlay, to where if you were using it, that not even using it, but it was on by default, that it would actually affect your frames while you're gaming. So if you're in a game, it would affect it by almost 5 to 10%. That much it would affect your gameplay. You would have to go in there to disable it, and then you had later driver updates where it blacked out the screen, and now they have hot fixes. I don't know what's going on with Nvidia, especially with their graphics side. It's almost like they gotten too big to the point where they feel that they can do anything, and that nobody's going to do anything to stop them. But the good thing is, there is proof, which I will make a video on this, is that AMD, actually, their 9070s did really well. In fact, they even outsold the RTX 50 series. Now, the funny thing is, this could be Nvidia's fault, because they just did not have the supply and demand. Because they didn't have the supply and demand, they just could not compete with AMD, which makes total sense. But it's just funny how AMD is really starting to take a win for 2025, and deservingly so. They should. But what would be really nice is if AMD decided to go back into the graphical market on the high-end side. Because now I feel like they could actually compete, because now they're starting to gain more attention. So, fam, guys, I thank you guys so much for watching this stream. I hope you enjoyed it. I apologize for those who came in when my mic was muted. I was just ranting without my mic, like for probably a good, 10 minutes or so, which is pretty funny. But I hope you are there when I do this live unboxing, and I will certainly go into more details about this whole issue that is going on with the RX 9070s. I kind of want to see it for myself if there is an issue or if it's just a specific brand. But make sure you join the giveaway. It's on my latest video. It is linked in that video. So to join, just go there. And hopefully you win the Samsung 990 Pro with the heatsink. And I will also be giving away some merch. And good luck to all. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to this channel for more giveaways and more packages when they come in, and more ranting and some more experimenting or whatever. But thank you guys again so much for watching, and have a great day or a great night.